On Yom Kippur, usually in the afternoon here at Temple Sinai, we read a part of the service called Eileh Ezkara. It is a time when we traditionally remember the martyrs of the Jewish people. Al Eileh ani vochiach. For these I weep. My eyes overflow like streams of water, for a comforting presence is far from me, the one who restores my soul. But this year is different because we have martyrs right now. On this Yom Kippur, we commemorate Shiva b'October, the 7th of October. It was pointed out to me that when Israelis say the 7th of October, Shiva b'October, they are also saying Shiva during October. We just commemorated the first anniversary this week, and we joined the chorus of people demanding release the hostages. On this Yom Kippur, instead of the traditional reading about the 10 sages executed by Rome and the story of Rabbi Akiva saying the Shema before he died, I'm going to share several stories from Shiva b'October from Israel. And instead of a classic sermon, I will share 7 stories at this service, and then we will hear 3 more at the Yizkor service this afternoon. 10 stories total from October 7th in place of the 10 sages. Their stories are each sermons in themselves. First, Amit Man was a 22-year-old Magen David Adom paramedic and course instructor. She was murdered by Hamas terrorists when they stormed the clinic in Kibbutz Be'eri, where she was treating the wounded on October 7th. She was trapped in the clinic with the injured and dead for many hours before the terrorists succeeded in breaking in. Magen David Adom Director General Eli Bin explained, Amit sacrificed herself while trying to protect the lives of the patients. Her priority was only what was best for them. Her untimely passing left us shocked and in pain. Magen David Adom cherishes all that Amit has done, and our employees and volunteers bow their heads and hug her family. May her memory be blessed. Amit's fellow paramedic and best friend Oshrit Haddad said she could always be depended upon. Haddad said Amit was someone who was simply always there, and you could always trust her. On Saturday, she continued to help her patients under fire and tried to save their lives. She fought for their lives until the last moments. We may remember in June, Israeli paramedic Noah Abitbul came here and spoke to us, and she was also friends with Amit. 2. As war erupted between Israel and Hamas in the Gaza Strip, another fear materialized that Hezbollah would seize an opportunity and attack Israel on its northern frontier. Since then, residents of communities bordering Lebanon have been evacuated from their homes, and army forces were sent to the border to protect it. Among them was Lieutenant Colonel Alim Abdalah, who was killed on October 9th in battle with terrorists entering Israel from Lebanon. Abdallah, age 40, was the deputy commander of the 300th Bahram Regional Brigade. His military career spanned over 2 decades, and he was killed days before he was slated to be released from combat service. He was a proud Israeli and member of the Druze community. He was eulogized by family and friends as a brave and modest man known for his care for his loved ones and soldiers, as well as an avid sportsman and passionate runner. At his funeral, Sheikh Mawafak Tarif, the spiritual leader of the Israeli Druze community, said at his funeral, "Everyone who knew his way of life from a young age to his death, his bravery, his initiative, and his special personality knows well who Alim was." His funeral was attended by thousands of people. Both in life and in death, Abdallah personified the deep bond of the Israeli Druze community to its country. Following Abdallah's death, the IDF released a video of him filmed ahead of Remembrance Day a couple of years ago, speaking of unity in the army while standing in front of a wall commemorating his brigade's fallen soldiers. What characterizes the wall behind me is that it symbolizes the beautiful face of Israel. Sadly, there are fallen soldiers of all denominations here. The wall doesn't differentiate between Druze, Christians, Muslims, Jews, or Circassians, he said. They are all on the same wall. 3. Filipina caregiver Angeline Aguirre was at the home of the elderly Israeli woman Nira she was caring for in Kfar Aza when hundreds of Hamas terrorists descended on the kibbutz, unleashing a horrific rampage. The 32-year-old caregiver has been working in Israel for 7 years and was due to return to the Philippines for good in December to be with her husband. On the morning of the attack, Angeline and Nira rushed to the bomb shelter in the house after hearing rocket alert sirens, but it quickly became apparent that terrorists were invading the kibbutz. The victim's sister, Wilma, told the Philippine Star that the last message she received from Angeline was, "I'm scared, they're already here." Wilma said the lock on the door of the bomb shelter was broken, and that's likely how the terrorists found the two women, ultimately murdering them. The sister said that Angeline could have run or tried to find a way to escape, but she stayed by the side of the woman she had pledged to care for. Jerusalem Deputy Mayor Flora Hassan Nahum praised her. Despite having a chance to flee the Hamas terror attacks, Angeline showed unbelievable humanity and loyalty by remaining by Nira's side during the violence, resulting in both of them being brutally murdered by Hamas, she wrote. Unimaginable honor in the face of evil. 4th, Paratroop Commander Roe Nahari, age 23, and Golani Battalion Trooper Amichai Rubin, also 23, were killed by Hamas terrorists on October 7th near the Gaza border. Nahari was defending civilians in Kfar Aza, and Rubin was defending comrades on his base. Both are credited with saving others in the last moments of their own lives. Nahari's family told Reporter that Roe's twin brother, also a paratrooper, told them he and Roe had discussed just a month ago their desire to donate their organs in the case of their death. Dr. Yael Peled, medical director of the heart transplant unit at Sheba Medical Center, explained Nahari's heart was transplanted into a seriously ill patient. He commented, "In these days when we face adversity, Roe of blessed memory and his family give us hope. Not only did Roe's kind heart save the life of our patient, but it also teaches us about the goodness of human beings, generosity, partnership, and love for one another." Reuben's lungs went to a 70-year-old individual, his kidneys to a 29-year-old recipient and a 7-year-old recipient, one lobe of his liver to a 23-year-old man, and another liver lobe to an 8-year-old boy. The 8-year-old's father said, "My child reveres soldiers. When he hears that his donor was a brave soldier, it will undoubtedly increase his strength." In total, the organs of these two soldiers saved the lives of 10 seriously ill people from the ages of 7 to 72. 5th, Shlomo Ran, age 85, saved his family by sitting in his armchair. When terrorists entered Kibbutz Nahal Oz and began massacring its residents on the morning of Saturday, October 7th, Ron, his wife Hannah, daughters and grandchild were at home. As it became clear that terrorists were moving from home to home, Ron told his family to enter the safe room in the house while he remained outside. Despite being urged to join them, he decided to sit in the living room all by himself so that when Hamas terrorists might enter the house, they think he's just an elderly man home alone, shoot him and move on without searching for more people. And it worked. After they killed him, more and more terrorists entered the house, saw a dead man sitting alone, and moved on, not bothering to take another look. All this time, his family was in the shelter until they were rescued in the evening. His niece Irit shared on Facebook, On Saturday morning, when the terrorists were at their doorstep, my uncle, empty-handed, used his elderly sick body to protect the house with his wife, daughters, and grandson who were in the safe room. He went out to the living room, sat down in his armchair, and waited for them. And they, the murderers, came, saw an old and lonely man sitting in an armchair, shot him, and moved on. It didn't cross their minds that this old man was physically protecting his dear treasure, his wife and family, and that's why they moved on. That's how my aunt, Eileh, my daughters, and my cousin's son were saved. Sixth, Awad Darashi was one of the many paramedics assigned to work at the Supernova Music Festival in southern Israel on October 7th. That morning, thousands of Hamas terrorists descended on the event, indiscriminately shooting the festival goers. The 23-year-old paramedic was one of them. In giving his own life, however, Darashi saved many others. Darashi was part of Yossi's ambulance's paramedic team. When the station's leader told all the staff to leave the area immediately, the 23-year-old refused to evacuate. He continued treating the wounded as bullets were whistling above his head and grenades were exploding all around. Eventually, however, the paramedic was shot dead. According to the foreign ministry, the terrorists then stole Darashi's ambulance and drove it to the Gaza Strip. Several days later, his body was identified by relatives and buried on Friday in Iksal, an Arab council in northern Israel. The Darashi family, who are all Palestinian Israelis, said he decided to stay put because he believed he could reason with the perpetrators. The family adds that although they feel immense hurt, they are very proud of him. Hatzalah spokesperson Raphael Pach said, Awad was a dedicated volunteer of ours in the Nazareth chapter of United Hatzalah for the past 3 years. He always gave his time and energy to help others whenever they needed medical assistance. He never said no when someone asked for help, no matter who the person was or where they came from. He was a young and unassuming individual, and we are outraged and deeply saddened by his brutal murder. His memory will live on and inspire many others to volunteer and help save lives. And seventh, Matan Abrail saved the lives of 6 of his friends in the battle for kibbutz near Am on October 7th. The group of 7 Golani soldiers found themselves trapped while fighting more than 50 terrorists after having to retreat due to a shower of bullets as the terrorists swarmed their armored personnel carrier. When a grenade was thrown into the vehicle, Abrail immediately covered it with his body, saving all of their lives. Daniel Varach, one of the surviving 6, tried to save Abrail's life. Varach told the Jerusalem Post, I saw there was no pulse, and I said he's no longer with us. Another surviving soldier said, in our name and on behalf of all of our friends, we thank you immensely. You saved us all and shielded us with your body. You are a true hero. I will forever remember you and share your story everywhere I go. All these stories come from I-24 News, an Israeli news service. Al Eileh ani vochia. For these I weep, my eyes flow like streams of water, for a comforting presence is far from me, the one who restores my soul. Let us now take a moment of silence. Zichronom livracha, their memory will be a blessing. May their example inspire us to lead lives of self-sacrifice. Am Yisrael Chai, Od Avinu Chai.